Oh gosh, there's fast packing, flash packing, fish packing, bish packing, going with your girls. You could literally put any word in front of packing and make it a backpacking genre, right? In today's video, we are going to talk about the biggest backpacking myths that stop people from getting out on the trail. I'm Meg Atterbury, an outdoor educator and ex-professional writer, and I've logged thousands of miles on the trail. And these are the biggest myths you need to know about backpacking. The first one is the biggest myth, that backpacking is always fun. It's not.
It was so hard. Oh my god. Ugh. That was fucking terrible.
Yeah, actually, oftentimes it's quite awful. And you want to always expect a 50-50 experience when you're on the trail. Take the good with the bad. While you're backpacking, you experience the highest highs and the lowest lows. But here's the hottest tip I could give you. You don't know what a high is if you haven't experienced the low. One of the biggest backpacking icks is that ultralight should be the benchmark you are aiming for. And I am a mostly ultra lightweight backpacker. Ultra lightweight backpacking is having a base weight, so all of your stuff minus your food, fuel, and water weighs under 10 pounds. Let me make something very clear. 10 pounds is a completely arbitrary number. We categorize certain backpacking styles because we like zeros at the end of our numbers. Which brings me to my next big myth. You've got to understand that there are many different types of backpacking. And I've done, well, lots and lots and lots of them. Cue montage. There's regular backpacking, weekend warrior, thru hiker, ultralight, technical, where you take ropes and stuff. Mountaineering technically has aspects of backpacking, hammock camping, solo backpacking, taking your family with a young child, fast packing, flash packing, dash packing. I don't even know what that is. Is that when you trail run and do it? I don't know. You could literally make up any kind of backpacking you want. It is all about finding joy in the outdoors in whatever way that speaks to you. And that way is allowed to change year over year, decade over decade, or even trip to trip. There's nothing wrong with that. Playing into this concept of weight and style and gear and all that other stupid stuff that in reality doesn't really matter, there is only one right way to backpack. And that is to leave no trace. You should always follow the best practices for leave no trace in the environment that you're in, and understand that it can change from the forest to the mountains to the desert. And you also want to follow the local rules and regulations. That's it. The rest of it is just for funsies. And this brings me to my next big myth. We're at number 4 now, I think. The lighter your pack, the easier your time. Although that seems like very sound advice, and on the surface it is, it's actually quite false. Here's the real deal. Your experience level gets you to where you want to go. And that experience is all about finding the right balance of weight, comfort, and budget that fits you. Meaning, most backpackers start in one place and then slowly try to get their pack weight down. However, you can overdo it. Believe me. I've been there. Admittedly, more than once. By going on a variety of different trips and being in different conditions, you can find that unique balance that best suits you. And it's not necessarily going to be a lighter pack. A lot of people backpack with a chair because their skeletal muscular system just feels better. And even though it may not be for some people, there is nothing wrong with doing that. Now for my next myth, and hear me out, because if you look at me, you're gonna want to brush me aside. Myth number 5, you need to be in excellent shape to backpack. No, that's totally false. Just go out and backpack, period. You can hike in a couple miles to a lake, sit in a hammock, and read books all day. You do not need to be a high altitude ultra runner to do that. Let me say it a bit louder for those folks in the back. Casual backpacking is still backpacking. For harder trips, yeah, fitness helps, but the reality is backpacking is 70% mental. My body is rarely the the reason I ever give up out there. It's always been up here, my mental game. Whenever I'm thinking of quitting a trip, it's almost always because I'm mentally overwhelmed, fatigued, or just not feeling it and want to go home. Of course, if you're doing something really extreme, your fitness is gonna matter. But even at that level, you don't need to have a svelte body to get it done. You just need to have strong stabilizers in your lower body, a fit inner core, which is not the same as a six-pack, and an in-depth understanding of your personal cardio limits. That's it. Our next myth is that you need all of the latest and greatest gear to backpack. Oh my God. Stop. Stop with the GD consumerism. You just need the right stuff for you. That doesn't mean you upgrade your things every year, every 3 years, or even every 5. Most of my backpacking kit contains gear that is over 6 years old and still going strong. You just need the right stuff. And that can take a little bit of time and is a very confusing landscape to navigate in today's age of over-consumerism. But let me break it down and make it really simple for you. Once you find something that works, use it until it no longer works. Some of my favorite pieces in my backpacking kit are 8 to 10 years old, and I'm still using them with no plans of replacing them anytime soon. All right, I think we're on myth 7, 8? I should probably count. This myth is for women, femmes, and thems that backpacking alone isn't safe. I have a lot of people asking me how to solo backpack. Should I be taking protection with me? Should I carry extra gear so it looks like there's more people? Backpacking inherently has risks, and backpacking alone can elevate those risks depending on what you're doing, where you are, and your experience level. But the fact of the matter is, you have a much higher chance of encountering unwanted people on the street than you do in the wilderness. Just think about it. It takes a lot of effort to get out there, and they don't have a real quick way to take you anywhere. I personally feel much safer solo backpacking than I do, say, solo camping. Don't let going solo be the reason you're not going. Next big myth, you can camp anywhere. That's not entirely true in every single situation. Before you hit the trail, you should certainly know whereabouts you want to camp. That requires looking at a topo map. You cannot set up your tent on a slopey hill. You need to make sure you know where the flat ground is, and preferably you want to be near a water source. There are also rules around water sources. For example, you cannot camp within 200 feet or 70 adult steps from most, but not all, streams, rivers, and lakes. So it is essential to look up the rules and regulations of where you are going, because national parks and certain wilderness areas only allow you to camp in certain designated sites, and you may need a permit for those spaces. You may be passing through private property for parts of your hike, or local areas have their own rules and regulations about where you can and can't camp. It is always important to look that up before you go. And just to add to that a little bit, because I live in the West where wildfires are common, don't plan on having a campfire either. Now for myth 10. Backpacking is the same no matter what. That is so far from the truth. Backpacking in the desert is a completely different animal than contending with high altitude alpine lakes or the staunch humidity of a jungle rainforest environment. It is essential to learn the skills for the environment that you're backpacking in. You may be an intermediate backpacker in your area, but if you're gonna deviate and be in a new environment, it helps to look around and level up your skill set before you head out. To be clear, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go. That just means do a little homework and make sure you have adequate gear, skills, and an understanding of where you're gonna be. And my last myth, one of my personal favorites, is that you have to be a survival expert in order to backpack. Oh my gosh. No way, bro. You really do not need to be homesteading in Alaska to backpack properly. Trust me. However, you do want to know some basic wilderness first aid skills and have a level head on your shoulders in order to make safe decisions out there. I've been in a rescue situation, and I'm not Bear Grylls. I handled the situation so well, in fact, that the search and rescue team thought that one of us was an emergency responder. Spoiler alert, neither one of us were. I just needed to show my friends support, run through some basic first aid, and keep our spirits high while we waited for conditions to improve. Which goes back to my first myth that backpacking is always fun. So when things really hit the fan, understanding that you're gonna have some bad days is essential to surviving that experience. And that is the biggest survival tip you need to get out and backpack. What is your biggest backpacking myth? I want to know down in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Bye.